Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Masks Off. I am Kim.
And I'm Tia.
And today we are going to talk about the denial mask. And if you wear this mask, you probably don't know that you wear it because you're in denial about it.
Oh, that's good.
So,
Denial of the denial mask.
Denial of the denial mask. So we will start with a quote as we normally do. And today's quote is, "You never find yourself until you face the truth." Pearl Bailey. You never find yourself until you face the truth. And I'm going to add, it is tough. It's hard. So I'll add one more quote today from Brene Brown's The Gifts of Imperfection. And she says, "The dark does not destroy the light. It defines it. It's our fear of the dark that casts our joy into the shadows." So what these two quotes say to me is that if we are unwilling to look at ourselves truly and authentically, and if we are unwilling to go in and see where our struggles are, where our weaknesses are, when we're unable to take responsibility, and we have talked about this in so many episodes, it's a common thread, but it's so important because if we don't take responsibility for our actions, our part, and if we continue to judge others, criticize other people, treat people unfairly, and just not do the inner work, we are going to create separation between ourselves and the others.
Yes.
And that can lead to, if we are not careful, a very lonely existence. Because if we, right? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, keep going.
If we go throughout life creating separation because we're always criticizing or judging and blaming the other person, pointing the finger outward instead of looking in and taking responsibility for our part. I'm not saying we have to take ownership of all of it. There's the other side of the continuum, people who take too much responsibility. Just where have you co-created? What is your part in whatever is taking place with other people? And if we continue to point the finger and blame, we're just going to have this constant separation between ourselves and others.
And that denial.
And the denial.
You know, and I think it's shadow work, right?
Yes.
We are so afraid to see the darkness within us and the light as well, right?
Yes.
I mean, we're very afraid to rise up into our amazingness. And we're also really afraid of the yuck and the shadow. So when we're pointing the finger and complaining about another, judging another, we're also, not knowingly most of the time, we're complaining about something within us that we don't like. And so it's remembering, I mean, it's piggybacking, like the racism talk we had. We don't want to face our own inner racism because we grew up in a society that has that. It's such an awful thing to have to explore, so we don't want to, and that's the white privilege. We get to choose not to because it's not in our face because we have white skin, but it is still there. And and it's when I complain about someone who they did this to me or whatever, it's like, oh, or they're doing this in their life. It's like, well, where am I doing that in my life? Where is that within me?
The mirror.
It's a mirror to go within and see all of our bits. And I think it's such an important part when we deny all of our bits, all of our broken bits and our amazing bits, we're not whole. And so when we're in denial, we're not just in denial of the shadow bits. We're in denial of our amazing, but we're denial of our wholeness. And so until we can integrate, and it's not a light switch, as we've talked about all along. This is a process, but the more we can embrace that we're dark and light, that we're both, because every human being has the ability to be everything you see in the world. You may not think you're a violent person, but that is within you.
Yes.
You just haven't had the moment where that would rise up, or you've been able to suppress it, but it's still there.
It is still there. Even if it's violent towards yourself.
Yes.
And even if you're not,
yeah.
You may not
That's so good.
think that you're violent toward another person.
Mm-hmm.
I might think like I'm super kind and super caring, and I would not, hurt another person, but I certainly have been hurtful toward myself with the harsh and critical words that I've used toward myself.
Right. And I think
over the years,
that's such a good point, because it's like, it's not necessarily to another.
Right.
It's how are you talking to yourself? How are you treating yourself? When things get hard, what is your pattern? Where do you go? Do you go into self-shaming and beating yourself up, or do you project it outward? Because we do both.
Yeah.
Everyone does both.
I know. How often is an underlying current of I'm not enough, right? I'm not thin enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not lovable. I'm not worthy, right? Is a big one.
Yeah.
And as we talked about in the beginning episodes, that when we wear those any of these masks, that oftentimes, and we're in denial about our masks and we don't do the inner work, what can show up is depression, anxiety, eating too much, drinking too much, shopping too much, unhealthy relationships. And all of those are the symptoms. It's not the wound. The wound, the underlying root cause, is often this belief of I'm not enough.
Right. And we may not even be aware, because you peel back the layers, and we may not know where those roots are. And I mean, I know that's what you do in RTT, is find those roots. If we can't deconstruct it on our own with our conscious brain.
Yes.
Because sometimes we can't access those really deep rooted wounds, because our brain has just tucked them away to keep us safe. And you have that, and through your process, you're able to shine a light on those really dark roots and connect the dots that we, may not be able to connect for years. Right. And you can do it in a much quicker, accessible way.
Yeah, because there's those belief systems are tucked away and stored in the subconscious mind, like you said. And, if you go to traditional therapy, talk therapy, that's dealing with the conscious mind. And you can't really have long-lasting permanent change when you're just dealing with the conscious mind, because the conscious mind is about 5% of our mind. The rest is subconscious. So
it's sneaky.
And it's sneaky. It is so sneaky.
It makes you think you have dealt with something. And you really haven't, because we're very good at convincing. It's that denial, right? Oh, I've dealt with that. I've already, I hear that a lot from people, and I'm sure you hear it all the time. Well, I've already dealt with that. I don't need to explore that any further. And it's like, okay, but even in the way you're discussing that shows you haven't fully dealt with it.
Right.
Because we never 100% deal with something.
Yes. You can have shifts and transformation and growth, and you can have more freedom, more joy, more lightness. And yet, there's so many layers to the onion. And that is, what I do with RTT or, hypnosis, is to help people peel back the layers, because there are so many layers to the onion, but you do feel more and more freedom and more authenticity, empowerment as you peel back each layer.
Well, and you have the awareness then that you didn't have before. So we can pull the root, but it's still part of who we are.
Yes.
So remembering that the work just continues and continues, but it's our awareness. Once our awareness is there, then we can consciously meet it and we can deconstruct it in a different way. But if we aren't understanding and able to access those deeper roots in our subconscious, how can we continue to heal fully? It's really hard.
It is.
And the body holds it. Our body
the body does. Yes.
The
body stores it. That's just it. It does store it. And until it's dealt with, it's just going to keep coming up in different ways. Like I said, either through the eating too much, gambling, shopping too much, lashing out, judging, criticizing.
And it can manifest as illness.
And as illness. Oh my God, that's a perfect one. Because for me, I was diagnosed with Sjogren's syndrome back in 2005, which is an autoimmune disorder. And that, I believe, because I do feel better now than I did 15 years ago as I have done the work.
Wow.
And I feel like, what is autoimmune? The immune system attacking itself.
Right.
Right. So, right. It's attacking, it's attacking healthy tissue and healthy organs. Right. I don't know the science behind it, but I think it's the T cells, one of those T cells or B cells of our immune system are attacking healthy tissue, healthy glands, healthy organs. When there is no invader, it's always attacking. That makes it autoimmune. So, it's perfect example of how illness can arise from not loving ourselves, from not doing the inner work, from not releasing and healing all of that negative energy that's stored in the body.
Right. And we're not saying every illness is related.
No, not every. Yes,
let's be clear.
Exactly.
But it can play a part.
Certainly.
Most definitely. And I think, it just speaks to all the denial. Everything that you were just sharing and before, because we don't want to face those parts of us, or we don't want to face our amazing parts.
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
It's hard to shine.
To step into our light.
Yeah. Because it's like, who am I to do that? Who am I? It shows up in imposter syndrome. It shows up in being afraid of, if I shine, then I'm going to get attention that maybe I don't want to.
I know. I know.
There's so
negative
many
attention
layers.
And positive.
Exactly. Like, wait a minute, is that what I really want? I don't know. It's scary because we aren't taught to step into our light. Most people.
I know.
Fully.
Right.
And you can see a lot of people are stepping into those roles, but it's not their light. Power is not the same to me.
Yeah. Say more about that.
So, people in power, people, or people who are out there and the go-getters, doesn't mean that they're stepping into their light. Many are playing a role, not all, but how many conscious leaders of business do we have? How many conscious leaders in the workforce do you see? Managers listening and understanding. They are out there. I've seen them. I've talked to people who are doing this work and train other companies to bring that in and, hold that space, and how
that's so cool,
listening and all that. But most people who you think are in their light because they're big and powerful aren't. Because that's a good point. That's the, I can't face my ugliness, so I'm going to power over instead of powering with. And I think that's a really clear distinction. Is, are they in denial? If you're powering over anything or powering under, shrinking yourself, you are wearing some form of the denial mask.
Yeah,
that's so good. You're denying you, right? When we're in our denial mask, we can be using it as denying what's going on our outside. Piggybacking on our last episode of accepting the as is. So it can be external. We can be denying the external. But oftentimes our denial masks are denying our internal. So we go into power overing to try to over control or over manipulate or, make people do, or we're submissive.
Yeah. How often
Don't
do you
speak up.
see those CEOs, of big companies, bosses, it looks like with their fancy houses, their nice cars and all the money and, you think, wow, like look at how big they are. But you're right. All of that is false, right? That's a false, it can be. It doesn't mean
Right.
like you said, there are those out there. Oprah is a perfect example of someone who has a lot of money, nice big houses and all that, but she is conscious. She's in her light and she is in a position of wealth and abundance. So that's different from someone who has wealth, money, and abundance, but is in a position of power, and they put other people down to make themselves feel better, feel bigger, because that's the glass house, right?
Exactly.
They are not, if they were to truly stop and take a look at themselves on the inside, they would probably not like what they see.
Right.
But that's, again, that goes back to this quote of the dark does not destroy the light, it defines it. It's our fear of the dark. It's our fear of that casts our joy into the shadows.
Yes.
So when you do that, what you are doing is you are denying yourself joy. And let's be clear, there is a difference between joy and happiness. Right? Happiness is very fleeting. I will be happy when this happens. I'm happy if this happens.
Destination.
It's a destination, the pursuit of happiness. On the outside, you're pursuing, you're chasing. But joy is different. Joy is inward. It comes from within. And it doesn't mean it's contentment. And it doesn't mean, I always say this, that life is all rainbows and unicorns.
Right. It's not.
It's not. You learn how to dance in the rain, right? That's one of my favorite sayings. You can still have joy, peace, and contentment even in the storm.
Right.
But with happiness, the storm has to be gone. It has to be sunny out and beautiful in order to be happy.
No discomfort ever.
No discomfort ever. And that goes back to that type of person who is in denial and the one that needs to have all these shiny accolades and power over in order to be okay and to make it seem like they're in their light.
Right. And not being at all willing to go within.
People who are truly in their light are very humble, I believe. It's a humbleness, and you just know it. You know that, you are like the same energy that's in the ocean that makes up the trees, that makes up nature. I mean, if there's a tree that's skinny and tall, the tree doesn't say, oh, I'm not big enough, strong enough. The tree just is the tree.
I just want to be like that big tree over there.
I just want to be like that big one with a big wide trunk and lots of roots and really strong. The tree knows it belongs.
Right.
Just as much as the other one.
Right.
So it's that knowing that we are all part of that same energy. No one is better than or less than.
But everyone's where they're supposed to be in that moment.
Exactly.
And
going back to this is all we just say over and over. It's a process. This is a journey. These are things that you and I have learned along the way. I certainly didn't have this information years ago, and I still don't claim to have it all. I know I have so much more to learn.
Right.
And so I just want to be clear forever. Yeah. I just want to be clear with the audience that, I don't know everything. I'm just sharing my path, my journey, what I've learned.
And we're denying bits of us that we haven't explored.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So
geez, can you think of an example?
I mean, I know personally for me, I still hesitate to fully shine because it's like, oh, that's scary. It's really scary.
Yeah.
Really scary. Because what does that look like? What does that mean?
Yeah.
What if I shine too bright? And I think some of it is, it just came to me. Sometimes it's, if I shine too bright, who am I going to outshine? So there's that, and that's not true. That's not
comparison.
true. I'm not going to lose someone else in the process or make someone else dim their, it's not about it. Again, it's not the powering over, but there's that internal fear. Like, I don't want to take away someone else's shining in doing that. So I'll just keep here where everyone can shine. But the reality is the more I can shine, the more others can shine. So it's a false system belief in me, which is keeping me and denying that part of me to come out. And it's getting better. I mean, heck, this podcast is a huge part of that.
I know.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. You're shining.
Yeah.
In the podcast for sure.
It's just putting ourselves out there.
Yeah.
And it's not about being better or anything for doing that.
No.
For us, it's very authentic, and we just knew it was the right time for us.
Yeah. To be authentic, take off the masks.
Right. And be real. And that's part of shining. And that's part of shining.
Yeah, exactly. Inspiring and shining for sure. If you asked me a few months ago if I thought I would be doing this, there's no way.
No.
I would have said, nope, I am not doing a podcast. I'm not doing a YouTube channel.
Right.
No, that's not happening.
Too scary. So let me go back on my little denial piece.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about denial mask, it's not necessarily what you may have thought when you tuned in. Maybe it was. I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
It's not just it's burying your head in the sand, just in a different way. Not in a plug my ears and, like a little kid. But there is that piece of it because it's scary. It can be scary. And that's why we don't lift that denial and explore. Because really it's about exploring and being curious.
Yeah.
It's not having to find all the answers and shine your light just so that's bright, because how do we know?
I know. No, this has actually been a great podcast for me because honestly, going into it, I didn't really think denial mask was one of my go-to masks. And now that we're talking,
me neither.
I'm like, holy cow, I wear the denial mask, baby. Yep. I need to take it off.
And that's funny because I felt the same way. Because I had some resistance to this episode. Now I know why. Because I'm like, well, how do I talk about this? I don't know how. What is, I see it in others, right? So there it is again. I see it in others.
I totally see it in others.
Yeah, there it is. It's denying.
Yeah.
Oh
wow,
my this has been a great one for us because we just learned another layer about ourselves. Thank you, listeners.
Thank you for helping us to realize that we wear the denial mask.
I mean, and we've had revelations obviously all along through this, but this is a big one for me.
Me too. Well, and that's why we decided to do this because we were having our conversations before we did the podcast and we were like, as we were talking, like, oh, aha moments. So that's what inspired us to start recording the conversations because just like it happened just now organically for us that we just both had an aha in this moment, in this conversation. That's what was happening beforehand. And that's what we want to share with all of you viewers and listeners and see how that happens.
Yeah. And I think an important piece of that is, we do this inner work and it's personal and it's individual and it's collective.
Yes.
Because we can only do so much individually because we have those blind spots. And so having conversations like this with someone you feel safe and can trust, it's an important part of that, and if you don't have someone like that, there are people out there who are looking for someone else to connect with as well, so don't give up hope.
I know.
At all. There are people who want to deconstruct with you and have these conversations too, so.
I would agree with what you're saying on that because had you not shared with me articles and the documentary to watch on Netflix, 13th.
Oh, mm-hmm.
And had we not had that conversation or did that episode for Masks Off, I would not have thought that I was racist. Just because I didn't have the awareness, the language, the education, the understanding. And so that would have continued to be a denial mask, because I would have said, like I shared with you, or even in that episode, absolutely not. I grew up in an inner city. I went to high school. I had Black friends. There's no way. There's no, I had, we had a Black kid live in the house with us for a year and a half. So how could that be? My son has Black friends, no way.
Right.
But so that's, the whole piece where you said burying your head in the sand, and how collectively you can learn more and understand. And it's like, ooh, light bulbs are going off,
Right. It is. And that's why it's so important to have, community and, if you're searching and don't know where to go for that, email us. Our email's in the show notes, and we'd be happy to help you find that yourself, because we're not just here spewing and talking. Spewing, that's not really the right word, but we're not just here to talk, but we're here to support as well. So, if you're struggling, by all means, email us
with any of the topics, with anything that we bring up in any of the shows. Definitely feel free to reach out to us.
Because, we've been doing this well. We have resources. We know where, and if we don't know what may help you, we have people who can help us find help. So we're not meant to do this alone, and that, we appreciate all of you listening.
We do. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening and viewing us today.
Have a great day, and we'll see you at the next episode.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.